All right, so
So,
you want to
yeah.
talk about this Lord of the Rings,
No.
the Rings of Power? You're like, no, I
No.
don't want to talk about it.
No.
I have a
I
lot to say about this.
Okay,
I have a
so
lot to say. It's the Super Dungeon Brothers Super Show with Dungeon Dan and DM Steve. Thanks for watching. If you like this content, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications.
and don't forget to comment and share this video and follow us on all our socials.
Thanks a lot.
Let's preface this with that Steve has watched 2 episodes. I've only watched 1 episode. So there's that. I was not impressed with what I saw. I thought that first episode I'm just gonna get right into it. And by
Okay.
the way, spoilers. If
Definitely spoilers.
There's definitely spoilers. If you don't want spoilers for this, go and watch it. I
Or
would
don't.
suggest not to, and then come back and talk and then come back and finish this. But I didn't like the pacing at
Okay.
all. I didn't like the way it jumped all over the frickin' place. I hated that because it didn't focus on any one character for long enough for me to even care about him. They're those Harfoot people. Why the hell are they all in hiding from everybody? And you know, let's introduce the evil wolf thing, but not do anything with that. Um, Galadriel is the bestest ever because
Yeah, so
I did.
let
Yeah,
me
yeah.
I have some notes, right?
Okay. Oh, you took notes. Okay.
Okay.
All
And
right.
about halfway down in my notes,
Mm-hmm.
because I just took like a couple, like a phrase or a few words.
Right. Right.
About halfway down in my notes, and I liked some things. I'll tell you
Okay.
that right now. There were a few things that I did like.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I liked the show,
Mm-hmm.
but there were a few things I did. But halfway down, I wrote, everything with Galadriel is terrible.
Oh yeah.
Because that's true. I
It
mean,
is. It really
Galadriel
is.
is awful. Like, awful. And I'm not even talking about like in a she's the bestest ever and has plot armor. I mean, she is terrible. Like she's a
Yeah.
terrible character.
Mm-hmm.
The actress is not good.
What?
Um
Speaking of that, of Galadriel, what is wrong with the guy who's playing Elrond? What is wrong with his face? There is something. It looks like they've augmented his face somehow, and there's some kind of weird makeup.
I don't know. I think that's just the way that guy looks. I think they wanted to
That
get
guy
a
looks
guy
that looked like him.
I think they wanted to try and get a guy that maybe slightly resembled Hugo Weaving in the same way
Maybe.
that they tried to get a girl that slightly resembled Kate Blanchett. I will tell you, Elrond is the best elf. That's not saying a whole lot
Yeah, I
because
know.
the elves are horrendous
Oh,
in
they
this.
are.
I hate the elves in this so bad. I actually think that the guy that plays Elrond is the only thing saving his character because
Yeah.
he's a little bit charming, especially like in the second episode. I
Okay.
felt a little bit more like, okay, this guy's maybe not so bad, but
Okay.
the elves are bad. So I'm just gonna go through some things here. So we'll go
Okay.
through my notes. That'll give us a kind of a little path to walk
All
here
right.
as we
All
talk
right.
about this. So my very, very first note is weird looking video game. Okay. And I think
Okay.
the reason that I wrote that is because the very first combat where Galadriel's brother is killed,
Yes.
right? Or
Yes.
he's
Mhm.
in this combat, he is
Mhm.
killed, really looks like a video game.
Yeah, it
Uh,
doesn't look great.
it it looks, I mean, horrendous. For your opening shot when they spent so much money, it's so bad.
Well,
Do you know if they're using a technology similar to the what is the fucking thing Disney has, the volume? Because it almost
I
looked
don't
like
know.
that.
I don't know. But
Or
to
they're just using traditional green screen because it had this thing where it almost looked like there was real people. There was like the
Mhm,
brother and then the real people in kind of the center. And
right.
then it looked like everything out from that and the background was fake.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it just looked like there was just like a group of maybe like 12 people that were real, and then everything else beyond that was CGI.
Well,
So terrible
he
looking.
here's the thing about that. So I read an article. I actually looked this up to see. So this episode in itself, we
Hmm.
all know the series cost about $1 billion.
Hmm.
This episode in itself was $370 million for episode 1.
Okay.
$370 million. I I wanted
Yikes.
I wanted to find out something. So I actually looked it up.
Okay.
Each movie in Peter Jackson's trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, was just a little north of $95 million each movie. That
Okay.
means that means they spent more on this one terrible Amazon episode than was spent on an entire trilogy of The Lord of the Rings.
How does that adjust for inflation? It's been
I
like 20 years, right?
I didn't I don't know how
It
to adjust it
probably
for
it even with adjusted with inflation, it's probably
come on.
still not good.
Even
But
adjusting for inflation, it's still come on.
so here's the other thing with the bad CGI.
Yeah,
The climbing up the ice wall,
yeah.
not so bad until she makes the jump.
I think I
The
looked away.
It looked like PlayStation 2 physics or something. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
it looked like a jump from Uncharted 1 or
Oh,
some it was
God.
just like the physics just didn't
Mm.
look right with it. And then she had a battle scene
Yes, with the
where she
troll,
was
the
kind of
ice troll.
flipping around and
Mhm.
doing things, and it was very Marvel looking. It was
It was.
very like fake.
Mhm.
The physics didn't look right. It was just really weird.
And again,
So
that battle shows how she's the bestest ever because this troll basically wiped the floor with the rest of her party. She comes in and in 5 hits takes it down,
pretty much.
basically so.
She's essentially already like a hero.
Mhm.
She's like a 10th level elf already.
Yeah.
She's just
Yeah.
fucking rocking right through it.
Mhm.
Um I made a small note about, and this is just like like a little thing that bugged me, but there's a big pile of skulls, right? And she
Okay.
takes a skull and she like puts it on the pile, but the pile is like huge. So like it's like this big pyramid that's like 3 times taller than her.
Right.
Who put the top skull on? Like, it's just weird little things like that. Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I understand the show is trying to show us like a big mountain of skulls. It's supposed to
Right.
be, you know, more than just
Mhm.
literary. It's or
Yeah.
literal. Sorry.
Right.
It's supposed
Literary.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely none of this is literary.
Yeah.
Um it's supposed to be you know, to illustrate all the
Yes.
death, but
Mhm.
not good, not good.
Well, here's the thing. So, was that supposed to be Mordor or not?
I don't know.
Because if that was supposed to be Mordor, they just walked right into Mordor.
I don't.
And one does not simply walk into Mordor, but they
Yeah,
did.
I don't know.
It
So
looked
let
like it. It looked like it.
maybe. I mean, but
Yeah. So,
okay. So my
okay.
next note is Harfoot transient dog kits. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, they all look dirty.
But do you know what I'm talking about when I say transient dog kits?
No.
Are you Okay, so you've never seen the kids, like, I think they're more common in larger cities, but I've
Mhm.
definitely seen them in smaller places before. They're like it's groups of transient kids, and there's a kind of a lifestyle built around it. You can tell because they kind of all look the same.
Okay.
Usually it's, I don't know, late teens, early 20s. They always have dogs. They always seem to be dressed in kind of like a olive drab or like a browns.
Ah,
They
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I know who
they're
you're
like
talking about
homeless
now.
kids that are
Yeah,
just they go from
yeah,
city to city. They usually have dogs,
yeah.
you know, that's
Mhm.
but it's
I
like a
get you.
chosen lifestyle.
I get you, yes. I
The
I I understand what you're
first
saying.
time I saw the Harfoots, I that's exactly what I thought with the hair and the like the colors and everything. I was like,
Yeah,
they look like those kids that you see on the side of the road that are like
yeah.
panhandling in your city for I mean, and
Mhm.
that's not to be disrespectful to those kids, not that, that's a great
Yeah.
life, but
But
that's fucking
but
that's what they look like.
but I here's the thing about it. I don't think that any of those Harfoots or any of that story belonged in the first episode at all because it didn't add anything to the first episode at all.
So so
Except for maybe the part where the meteor falls from the sky and the Harfoot girl finds the guy who's fallen into the pit, but you literally could have had that at the end and introduced that character as at that point where the person is where she's finding them and then go into that episode and introduce those people because these people, these Harfoots, added nothing to this episode at all.
they they didn't. Now here's the thing. So that is to my point, which is I have a note that says uneven different shows
Oh yeah.
because it feels like a bunch of different shows. And I will tell you that when we got into the second episode,
Okay.
and I like people are probably gonna, if anybody watches this, they're gonna probably be like, ah, fuck off. I'll probably get roasted for this opinion. But that's kind of the show I want to watch. It's the show
Which one?
about the hobbits or the
Oh
fucking
really?
Harfoots or whatever. Because there's kind of like a whimsical adventure there.
Okay.
I
Okay.
feel like, and even though again, it's like obviously you've got, Lady Bilbo or Lady Frodo or whatever
Mhm.
you want to call her, and
Yeah.
Lady Sam in a way, right?
Mhm. Right.
Whatever about the Harfoot's appearance and everything, they actually had a couple of good scenes.
Okay.
The guy in the center of the comet is obviously a wizard. We don't know who he is. He never talks,
Okay.
or
Okay.
really, not really, in these first two episodes. But the wizard kind of shows up, and obviously he's going to take these Harfoots, these hobbits, on an adventure.
Right.
And
Right.
it seems like a different show. Like the music is kind of
Mhm.
whimsical. The
Right.
Harfoots have like a certain. That's the show I kind of want to see.
Okay. Okay.
I'll be
So
honest, because
so
that's the one that seems the most interesting. Because it almost seems like a Willow type of a show or something,
yeah.
which that's probably gonna
So
suck. But
that's probably yeah. So do you even care about the love story? Because there's
which
apparently a love not
which one? I guess.
the human elf love story.
So that's really like I don't know what's going on with the humans in the show. I have no idea
Okay.
what the point of the humans is in the show. The love story is weird because in the beginning, I had this it almost seemed like they didn't know each other. Did you get kind of like a weird like where it
Yeah.
almost seemed like they
Mhm.
didn't know each other? And I guess it was supposed to be that they're high, but it's their relationship seems really weird. I don't
Because
understand it.
that's because the writing isn't that good. The direction isn't that good. It's because it's just
It,
they're it's not paced well.
it seems like it's directed by a bunch of different people, I think it was in the second episode, so you didn't see it yet, but there is a horror movie scene that is shot like a horror movie
Really?
where yes, with the it's an orc sneaks into the house to a house with the mom and the kid, the healer mom and the
Okay.
kid.
Okay.
And they like hide in these cupboards. And it does that thing where they're like peering out through the crack in the cupboard and it's like shot like a horror movie. And the whole time I
What?
kept thinking, yeah, the whole time I kept thinking that there there are Game of Thrones scenes where
Yeah.
there are like it's serious and political and
Mhm.
like
Right.
kind of it would be really boring to like a kid, for example, right?
Right. Right.
And
Mhm.
then there are these Marvel action scenes that are
Mhm.
like, again, straight out of like a Thor movie or a Guardians of Galaxy movie where she's
Right.
just jumping all over
Mhm.
doing whatever. There's that brief horror movie scene. There's kind of the hobbits is there it's a little bit lighter, like I said, especially in the
Mhm.
second episode, it feels like you're gonna go on like a whimsical journey.
Right. Mhm.
It's different. They should have like started with one thing and really like built that up strong and then kind of
Yes.
branched off from there.
Yes.
But instead they threw all these different storylines at you and it's
Is
weird.
Galadriel swimming for the entire second episode? Because God Almighty, she was way out in the sea.
So she swims. There's this really confusing scene where she meets these people on wreckage, and their boat
Okay.
was like wrecked by this thing that they call a worm, which is like some sort of sea monster.
Okay.
And they don't know that she's an elf until she shows them her ears, which is
Okay.
weird, which I hate, right? Because you
Right.
should be able to tell an elf like
Mhm.
immediately without
Yeah.
even seeing the ears because it's a different species of thing,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So there was that. All of the people except for the guy who kind of looks like he kind of looks like one of the brothers from Supernatural. Basically, he's the most handsome guy on the wreckage.
Yeah.
Everybody but
Mhm.
him gets killed, and then he kind of saves her, and they float around. It's
Is it
it doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of just like
Yeah.
she meets this. It's a reason for her to meet this guy, this kind of hot guy, I guess,
And that's
and
it?
that's it. And then I think at the end of the second episode, they get rescued by somebody, but we don't see who. Like there's like a shadow that just kind of goes
Mm.
over them.
God.
Like I said, everything with Galadriel is terrible in my
Yeah.
opinion. I mean,
Mm.
it's bad.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see if I've got
Yeah.
anything else interesting in my notes here. I just lost my note page.
I don't think that I think they've wasted so much money. They've wasted so much they've wasted so much money and so much time, and they've done such a disservice to Tolkien by doing this that it's
It's ridiculous. So
yeah.
I have a positive note.
Okay, let's hear your positive.
Cool cool panoramic vistas because there are. It's like the one thing that
Mhm.
does like legitimately look cool and is kind of unmarred until the scene changes and then
Yeah.
they show
Yeah.
us close up
Mhm.
of people and then it's
Right,
terrible.
it's done.
But you know how like the Lord of the Rings movies, the Peter Jackson ones would have kind of the sweeping vistas,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mhm.
There's that and it they look great.
Well, they spend enough money on it, they
Yeah,
better
yeah.
fucking look great.
Let's see.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. You're at episode 2, I'm at episode 1. Are you going to continue watching Amazon's Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power? Or as we were calling it the other day, the fucking Power Ring.
Hmm,
Are you going to continue watching the next 8 episodes of this show?
I don't know.
Are we going to talk about the next
I
8
don't
episodes
know.
of this
Maybe.
show?
Oh, so there was something else that I wanted to tell you about. I think you'll find this particularly unnerving. I
Okay.
have a note, and you didn't watch the second episode, so you didn't get here.
Right.
In the second episode, they introduce Prince Durin. Okay, dwarf,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
My note says sensitive dwarf.
What?
Yeah, because there's basically this scene where Elrond goes to get the help of the dwarves to build this tower that is going to have this great forge in it, right?
Okay. Okay.
They need this forge, probably where they're going to forge the rings. I'm assuming, right? So
Probably so. Yes.
got to build this tower. So he goes. The They don't have enough men to build the tower in time. So the
Mhm.
king sends High King sends Elrond to talk to the dwarves. He goes. There's actually kind of a funny, like one little tiny funny scene
Okay.
where Elrond goes up to the door at the mountain and says something like blah blah blah. I'm Elrond, friend of
Yeah.
Durin, come to see Durin. And there's this little kind of like diamond opening in the door,
Mhm.
and like you can see like the behind it, and the dwarf's like no, and then it shuts real quick. And that was funny. It like made
Right.
me genuinely
Yeah.
laugh, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, that was all right.
Because that's actually something that a dwarf would do.
Yes, and so that kind of primed me to go, okay, maybe this
Maybe the
this little
maybe the dwarves.
interaction is going to
Right.
be cool.
Mhm. No, that was it?
The dwarf, it's like everything else in the show. The dwarves are all over the place in style, right?
Okay.
Like it
Right.
just, I feel like everything just seems so like disjointed and like it doesn't
Mhm.
go together.
Right.
And so that's the look of the inside. I don't know. Again, it kind of looked like a video game. Like
Really?
it
Yeah.
didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, Durin is essentially upset that Elrond, his friend, like didn't come to his wedding and like hasn't been around and stuff, and he kind of like
Are you
bitches
kidding
out. No,
me?
I swear this
What?
happens. Yes,
What?
and he's like crying and shit. Like it's terrible. I was like,
No.
what the fuck is happening?
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, and they started out with this thing where he like makes him do this like test of where they're both gonna hit these rocks, and if
Okay.
Elrond loses, he's gonna be banished or whatever, and it just like, but then he gets all sad and he's like misty eyed and he's like, "You don't come to my wedding,
Oh
man.
my god.
Fuck you,
Really?
man." Like,
Just
yes, yes,
seriously?
yeah,
Seriously?
yes, yes, yes.
Dwarf
Uh,
dwarves emoting dwarves. Ah,
and then there's a part. Like, I don't remember this from Tolkien. Like, obviously, we're not Tolkien scholars, right? Like, I
no,
read the
no.
books, I own them,
Mhm.
but there's a thing about his new wife, who is the dwarf that was on in all the promotional photos, right?
Okay,
That
yeah.
right.
Mhm.
She talks about how they met, and she talks about singing to the mountain.
Okay,
And about how that's how they sing to the mountain, and that's how they find out where like the good spots of ore, the bad where you don't want to
okay,
dig and that
right.
sort of thing. I don't know, it seemed a little weird.
Hmm,
It seemed a little suspect, and
yeah.
I think there's going to be more of the singing in the
Okay,
mountain, to
okay.
this lady singing, because the
Mhm.
at the end of the episodes there was a this season on Rings of
Oh,
Power,
yeah.
and like
Mhm.
there was a scene that showed that dwarf, and she's like kind of
She's
singing like an opera singer,
oh god. Okay.
possibly to the
Mm.
mountain.
Did you
So,
Oh, wow. Wow.
man,
Did you see the trend? There was a trend. There was one tiny little fraction of a second shot of a Trent in episode 1,
I
right
don't
at
think I
the end.
noticed.
It was right at the end when the meteor was going across and, like, everybody was seeing the meteor. Uh, there was just a shot where you could see and it was in the dark, and you could actually see that it was a Trent kinda looking up going,
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know that I caught that.
yeah.
I
There
mean,
there
that
was
was a
one of
I
those.
like that scene. I like the scene with the but I think you're right. I think that's probably should have the show should have started.
Mhm.
The show should have started with some hobbits and the
Or
thing
ended
crashes
that way,
down
or it shouldn't.
or
Or it actually should have ended that way, and we should have never seen any hobbits until that hobbit girl shows up to see that, and then
mhm,
you're like, "Oh, who's this?" And I can't wait to watch the next episode to find out who finds the man who just fell from the stars.
mhm.
That
That's it's
that
you're
would
probably
have
right.
that would have been good. But again, the people who write this show and are directing this show, guess where they're all from? They're all either bad robots or
Hmm.
they're either JJ or Kurtzman people. Like
Yeah.
the guy who directed the first episode is J.A. Bayona. Definitely a like I think he's directed some of Discovery and just yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Not
It's
good.
not
So,
good stuff. No.
like I said, there are a couple of good things in it, and sometimes there are some cool scenes or and I even think some of the actors are okay. And it's
Mhm.
just it's all over the place.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
can't sometimes it seems like it could be a kid show. Sometimes it seems like they're going for something a lot more mature.
Mhm.
Sometimes it seems really serious. Sometimes it seems really kind of goofy and like
Yeah.
the tone is all over the place. The costumes are all over the place. The settings all over the place. Even little
Yeah.
pieces of information we get about like for example the Harfoots, like you said, why are they hiding?
Yeah.
And then also, if they have a culture like they do, why does the one elder Harfoot like have like what seems like learning, like
Yeah.
human learning or elf
Yeah.
learning, right? Like he's
Mhm.
got a book with what look
Right.
like calculations and all this.
Mhm.
It doesn't seem
It
to
makes
fit.
the yeah, it
It
doesn't make
doesn't
sense for that.
really seem to fit. Like it
Mhm.
seems like in their culture he would have like again, I'm gonna make
He
another
would
Willow reference, like throw the bones, right?
yeah, he would
Like
have the bones of the
follow the
stones.
bird,
Yeah,
like
that kinda
stones
stuff.
or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't
Mhm.
have like a big tome with it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
No.
It's somebody whoever is the showrunner of this show is not doing their job in keeping
Mhm.
things cohesive.
Right. Right.
Really, really bad job. It could
Can
improve.
can
It
you
could,
imagine yeah,
but
could you imagine 4 seasons of this? Because that's what they're envisioning is like 4 seasons of this.
it here's the thing.
Mhm.
If whether they say that they do or not, if they take the critiques that they're getting,
Oh, the ones that they turned off for 3 days?
yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
Because yeah.
If they take some of that into account, maybe.
Mhm.
If they do not take that in any of the critiques that people are giving them into account,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
gonna be trash. It's
you
gonna be
know they're
trash. If they
yeah.
continue, because the big thing that obviously we've seen before with everything else with Star Wars and Star Trek, and they've already done it with this
Mhm.
too, is the attack the fans.
Yeah,
Like
attack the
oh, if a
fans.
fans doesn't, if the fans
Yeah.
don't like it, the fans are toxic, the fans are
Yeah.
bad,
Mhm.
whatever. Uh, all the fans are or all the negative comments or
Yeah.
bots. We've heard
Mhm.
all
We've
those
heard it
stories
all. Yeah.
before.
Mhm.
And if they do that and they just ignore it and they double down, triple down on all the dumb crap that they're
Mhm.
they're doing, yeah, it's gonna suck.
Yeah. And
And they're
it's
just gonna
good.
waste
Yeah.
money and it's
They're gonna waste money. It's gonna go the way of the Batgirl movie. It's just nobody's ever gonna no it people are gonna watch it less and less, and Jeff Bezos is going to waste billions of dollars, and yeah,
mhm.
that's kinda how it'll work.
So we'll see. I don't know. I might watch another episode, maybe.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
curious. I'm curious about to see if it comes together. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm curious about, or
Mhm.
how they even bring it together. So I
Mhm.
might torture myself for a little bit more, see if I can find maybe a little enjoyment out of it. She refused to watch it with me, by the way.
Oh,
She
really?
would not. Oh yeah. I asked her like 3 times. I was like, "Would you please watch this crap with me so I don't have to do it alone?" And
That's
no,
funny.
she wouldn't do it. But I tried
That's
to give it
funny.
a fair shake, and
Okay.
like I said, there were things that like I saw pieces of it that I thought would be cool, but
And I
it
think
just
that's the thing. It's like there are gonna be those little gems, but you're gonna have to dig through a lot of horse shit to get to those little gems, and that's
yeah.
and it makes it not worth it. It
Mhm.
really makes it not worth it.
True. Yeah, when the
Mhm.
best part of the second episode was like one little tiny dwarf joke,
Yeah. Mhm.
rough. So,
Yeah. Little tiny dwarf joke. "Ha, I see what you did there. Ha 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 ha." All
yeah.
right. So I guess we're wrapping it up. So I'm gonna do to you what you did to me last week. Uh, what's your rating? You've seen 2 episodes. What is your rating so far on Amazon's Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power?
I'm going to give it I'm going to be nice and I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 or a 60%, which is a D.
Okay. Okay.
It didn't it's not like the worst, but there's a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
failed at a lot of things. I didn't
Yeah.
fail at everything, but it failed at a lot of things.
Mhm.
Fuck, they don't even have a good opening. You didn't see it because you only saw the first episode. The second
Right.
episode there's an opening which is kind
Right.
of like it's really generic. It's like kind of I don't know. You'll have to watch it. It's like sand kind of moving around. It almost looks like the thing where they use like electromagnetic signals to kind of make patterns in
Yeah.
like have you
Mhm.
ever seen those? It
Yeah.
almost looks like that. It's just like this sand that kind of moves around in different patterns. The song is
Weird.
boring. You
Weird.
know,
Mm.
it's funny we talked about her and I talked about the fact that Game of Thrones, the new Game of Thrones, they just decided to use
They use the
that
same
same
theme.
song because
Yes.
everybody loves that song and it's
Mhm.
fantastic. No wonder they did.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Of course.
Yeah, they absolutely and they copied they even copied the opening.
Yeah, yeah. The Amazon or the Lord of the Rings Rings of Power
Mhm.
opening song totally forgettable.
Well,
Very
actually,
generic,
now that
not
I'm
good.
sitting here thinking about it, trying to think of the music from episode 1, I really the music from episode 1 is forgettable too because I
Yeah,
don't remember. There's nothing to suggest. There's the musical cues aren't there. It's just not there.
again, the best music for me was there was some whimsical Hobbit music during
Mhm.
some Harfoot parts in the second episode
Mhm.
that I enjoyed, but they were just little snippets.
Yeah. Well, that's it then. So that is Amazon Lord of the Rings Rings of Power. That's what we think of it.
So
Uh
far,
yeah. So hey, if you're in the chat, tell us what you think of it.
definitely. Yeah, leave us a comment.
Mhm.
This video is going to be up for a while here,
Yeah.
and you know, so
Speaking of the chat, looks like Anna Banana 10 is here.
hello, if you're a real person,
Yeah.
Anna.
Alexis the Nexus is here, maybe?
Heck yeah,
Maybe so. Commander Root, Sophia Fox 21. So I don't know if some of those people if some of those people are actually people. Welcome. Thanks
yeah,
for thanks for sticking with us for this. But yeah,
definitely, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, give us a follow here
Hmm.
if you enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. So Uh, I think that about wraps it up for us, doesn't it?
I think so. I am DM Steve,
I am
and
I am Dungeon Dan.
we're out. Good night,
Have a
guys.
good one. Night.
Hey there, this is Garrett from Dicks in the Dark. Check out our live stream every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't worry about missing a stream, the VODs are uploaded to the YouTube channel the following day. Check out the links in the description below.